Okay, hi. Um, so I don't know. I just came on to talk a little bit, and I do have a particular story that I guess is the focal point of, I guess, part of the focal point of this video. But I I don't know. Today in general is pretty good. It is sunny outside and relatively cool for being um, summer in the south. So that's awesome. It's not 90 degrees yet and it's noon. So let's see what the temperature is. It's 84 and it's noon. I'd say that's pretty good. Um, I ran all my errands today and I'm pretty caught up on schoolwork. So now it's just work, and finding, I guess, more work maybe. I had a pause with a client that I was working on the illustrations for a board game with. So they are based in Australia, and I work with a site that clients go to for all kinds of jobs. But so I was hired, and when they sent the pieces off, they sent the files to America and had the things that they needed printed here. And they're pieces for a board game, so what they got printed were tokens and dice. And so now they're going through like a testing play phase. If you know my Instagram and you've ever seen me like a gaming company that is predominantly actually all board games. It's all board games, hard copy games, cards, board games, that style, not anything that's like a video game or anything like that. So that's pretty cool, and that's actually the second game that I've worked on, which is very cool because, and hard copy game. The first one was a board game for a mobile app. It was a mobile app board game. Sorry if I'm talking in circles. Sometimes I think about one part before I'm thinking about how to describe it. So, and right now, I just wrote another company about designing like a slot game design. It's a mobile game, but it's for slots, and it's real cool because the examples that they sent, just with the invitation that they sent out to the people that they invited to apply for the game. The illustrations were cool. They reminded me of Aladdin. The colors used and it being like a Middle Eastern kind of desert theme. I'm not a big fan of Disney. I will say that. Too many secret dicks in their videos and girls wearing stupid shit. And I was walking down the street the other day, right? I was walking down the street. No, I was walking home from the store. I sounded like all thug life, like, I was on the block. No, I really wasn't. I was strolling myself home from picking up some groceries, and I looked down at the ground and I see this thing out of the corner of my eye, like a piece of paper that has a picture of a girl on it, and I thought I was looking at a porn or like an escort kind of thing because the girl looks scantily clad. I was like, oh wow, I haven't seen those here in this city, like there's not a lot of stuff like that, here. And what I mean by stuff like that, like clubs at all, like, where I live is real hometown, like down home. And so I was like, wow, that's bizarre to see a flyer like that here, like down in the city. You'll see naked girls or half naked girls, like video looking girls on flyers all the time. It'll be for like a strip club or a video or whatever they think they're promoting. And so I was like, wow. And make a long story a little less long, because it's already kind of long at this point, but that's just how I speak sometimes. It was not Milan, it was the girl from, I think, Fiji or whatever. I don't know. Or Indonesian. It's like the most recent tribal girl for Disney. I forget. And the guy she's usually pictured with has like traditional tattoos, and she has like a grass skirt on and long curly hair. And I was like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought that was some stripper and it's a Disney girl, but I wasn't shocked, But if you look at what they've been wearing over the years, it's like, come on. Stuff like that has just been getting old to me lately. I've just been seeing the contrasts, like women and how they choose to present themselves or how they're presented, especially like to little girls, like back to the Disney thing. Like you have little girls that are looking at like bra tops, and it's like, I know what's up, and we won't talk about what happens with Disney and what's happened with Disney in the past. So their whole enterprise can be real cool. I must admit, I enjoyed Epcot Center when I was little. I was like, wow, this is really fun. I enjoyed going to all the parks and stuff. I've enjoyed going to Disney World and Disneyland. But when you get into the details of stuff, it's kind of like, man, I've been played. And it's not just Disney. It's like the whole enterprise. And I've been, having a case of the feels for the past 6 months or so. Like, what am I supposed to like anymore? Like, I really can't listen to most music because, here it's pretty much a gimmick, which makes me think there's a lot I don't know in other countries. I really can't say because I don't know their industries like I know my own. And, I know the history of music here in the States. I've seen what's happened in that industry. It's the same in the movie industry. It's the same. So it's like, what am I left to like? So far I've gotten to just enjoying things that I enjoy from other countries. Food and stuff like that. Games. So, like video games and books and some books. I don't know why it's been so hard for me to sit my butt down and read lately, but I've been trying, and that's been, I think, going well, because when I actually do, I really enjoy myself. I'm reading the prequel to A Game of Thrones now. It's 100 years before the story that's been on HBO has started. And I even have a reluctancy to really enjoy Game of Thrones. But I do. Like, I think the acting is awesome and the writing is great, and even though there's like a lot of naked girls, they put a couple swinging dicks in, and I'm not really needing to see a dick. I prefer actually not to. But sometimes in shows you see a lot of PTA, titties and ass, and you don't see any dicks. You know what I'm saying? Full frontal with guys doesn't happen. And I really don't care what happens. It's just sometimes in these shows you see girls just all out there, and it's the same with the Disney thing, you know. It's the same with a lot of like shows and stuff. Like it's not balanced. So at least with Game of Thrones, they've put in a couple dicks, you know, here and there, which is not normal for shows, but I appreciate them doing that. Not for me seeing a dick, I don't want to see the dick, but it's more like, okay, but the balance really isn't there. But it makes the show less offensive. It makes a lot of things less offensive when men are held in the same regard as women, because I think I've just become kind of put off, not interested in a lot of things that I have been interested in before. Like a lot of things I overlooked when I was younger, but now that I'm seeing it all over everything that I watch, I'm kind of like, I just don't feel like seeing it anymore. I don't feel like seeing fakeness. I'm tired of the same everything, you know. Like the big thing now are Brazilian butt lifts and lipo and implants and, you know, fillers and faux nose jobs and like facial fillers and lip fillers. And it's just gotten to this point where everything's starting to look and feel a certain way. Guys are kind of going down that route, but you know, I'm getting tired of that too. I don't feel like seeing a dude with lip fillers or facial fillers or whatever. But I will say that, you know, this epidemic that's happening is just don't really feel like looking. So I really don't have anywhere to put my eyes when it comes to social media or American entertainment. Not even like American news. Like all of that is just, everything everywhere is just So would I ever get any surgeries? No. I'm really not interested in getting any surgeries. I've never had any cosmetic surgery. The only thing that I've had close to being a cosmetic surgery is getting my wisdom teeth taken out. And I consider maybe that's some pseudo cosmetic because it might have jumbled my teeth up. They said I didn't have space for the extra teeth, and that's why they came out. Otherwise, I don't have anything. I'm turning 38 in August, and I see little things of like age on me and stuff like that, but I fight it, you know. Like if I notice something, you know, like lately it's like the skin on my neck, you know, and I notice it in other girls that are my age, and I try not to compare, but you know, I always looked at my mom, like little things on her, like what happened to you as you got older. And my mom has a different thing going on with her, so things I think come out in her a little bit differently. But I still took notice of like the physical stuff. And so I look at girls who are my age, I look at women who are older who I admire. I look at people who are aging really fast, but usually they're leading really hard lives. Like I did this art video the other day and the sound was muted out, but what I was watching were like interviews with prostitutes in Oklahoma. And this guy, he was doing street interviews, and he's not on camera, but it's just these women, and some of them just, you know what I'm saying, it's been hard. So I don't really take notice of that. Like that's been a reason why I've not done hard drugs, you know. Like I've never had an interest in meth. I've never had an interest in crack. I've never had an interest in heroin. Nothing like that. All that it just seems like it's too hard. It's too expensive, too synthetic, too hard to get off of, way too illegal, way too addictive. It's just a whole bunch of stuff that's just like, and I see the way that it's like making people's bodies kind of, fall apart a little bit. And, I wish they wouldn't, I don't know, I just have a soft spot when it comes to people going through like extreme hardships and stuff. It's just, I don't know, it's one of those things I try not to have any thoughts on. So, but back to the other side of things. I think another part of what's happening with my sight is that I'm just from another generation. Like, this is like one of those times where I can really like say I'm feeling my age. I don't feel my age, but like seeing what's happening as far as culture, like what people are choosing to do, like people getting fillers and all this kind of stuff, and they're like 18. Like, I remember when Botox and stuff first came on the market, like maybe 10, 20 years ago, and it was meant for women who are like 45, 50, Now it's like 18, 17, whatever age, people are allowing them to get it done. Girls and guys are getting it done. And I'm like, dude, all that shit is gonna fuck your face up. Like, cause you're like, it's like trauma. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're taking this thing and you're punching holes in it and filling it, and you're just, to me, like kind of fucking with the chemical composition. You know what I'm saying? Like my teeth, I had silver fillings. I have a silver filling, I think, in one of them, maybe two, and they're from like the 90s, and so last time I was at the dentist getting work done, I asked her, like, should I get these replaced because toxicity and stuff, and she's just like, no, like if you do that, it's just going to cause more trauma to the tooth. And when she said that, I was like, trauma, what is, that sounds like, whoa, like a car crash, that sounds intense. But then I got what she's talking about. And I think about the same thing with people with lip fillers and stuff, like these little holes that you're punching in your lips. Your lips are like sensitive, but they're like full of little nerve endings, and I just feel like it's kind of like tearing paper and trying to like tape it back together, or you know what I'm saying, like clay is one thing, you know what I'm saying, like if you tear clay apart and you push it back together, it has the kind of structure that it kind of mends itself. But when you have a cut, you form some sort of scar. Like, your skin doesn't just magically heal. Even babies can get scars, even though they heal super fast. Like, I don't know, I feel like I'm making sense here. But anyway, surgery, not interested. Implants just seem like, the feel of implants doesn't seem like it's too hot. But then if you go, you have to cut into somewhere on your body, and that just doesn't seem appealing. Now, don't get me wrong, there are plenty of places and things about me that I would gladly prefer my own way about. You know what I'm saying? But am I going to go to a surgeon to have it done? No. Because, like, even that shape that people are going for nowadays, it just doesn't look right, like my hips don't flare out, the way I'd prefer. But the thing is, when you look at hips that have been injected, they have this weird shape to them, and it's almost like no matter how good the doctor is, they're looking for almost like something that looks good in clothes. And you can kind of see the way that the stitching or shape of the clothes kind of reforms what's there, and it looks really nice. but then when you take it off, it's like it's just not a shape that I like at all. It just even a lipoed stomach looks, not cool. But I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm round in my stomach, so I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I have my angles that I look pretty decent, but I have other angles that I look like a donut hole, but I don't want lipo, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to have stitches and, not even the stitches, like scars and all that, that's fine. It's the liposuction of a stomach that's been, like intentional lipo to be put in your ass, like fat to be put in your ass. Like sometimes the stomachs that I've seen, they've just gone too far, you know what I'm saying? And there's a certain hollowed out look that comes along with it. And I like natural things, you know what I'm saying? Like I appreciate the flaws more, you know what I'm saying? Like even on myself, like there's times when I'm like way insecure and I'm like, oh, and I do my sit-ups and planks and try to eat certain things certain times, but I'm not good at dieting. I'm not interested in being real thin. And I'm more like, well, I'm me. I eat pretty much what I want. I drink pretty much what I want at any time that I want. And to me, like, that's an attribute that I appreciate. Be happy and well fed. And my only concern is keeping your heart safe. Like I try not to eat too much stuff that I know that might mess with my heart. And so I eat my pork rinds and pork and saturated fat and all kinds of stuff. But then, I'll go in and drink a whole bunch of green tea in my life, just in general. Avocados and soy milk and oatmeal and stuff that I know is good at lowering cholesterol. And I go to the doctor and I just try to be cool, but sitting around starving myself, that it just doesn't seem like fun. Watching someone starve themselves doesn't seem to be fun, and I also think that a certain amount of body fat keeps the face looking young. They say either your ass goes or your face goes. So, or something like that, right? When you get older, they pretty much say that, like, if you get too skinny when you're older, your face just, gets hollowed out. And then if you're older and you get fat, like, it's like your body or whatever. So it's like your body or your face. And I try to hover right on the middle, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want too big and round of a face, but my face naturally gets round. And I have a rounder face now than I ever have been. I'm heavier now than I ever have been in my life. I've never expected to be this weight, but I'm pretty okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I'm healthy. I feel like I'm exercising a good bit. I'm enjoying the food that I eat. I restrict myself to a degree, but not to a degree where I'm like waiting a month to have it, a cupcake or something. I'm going to eat the fucking cupcake. But I might not have two in the same day, you feel me? Like, or buy a pack of cupcakes, like something like that. Like, I can't buy a package of, like, I love ice cream cones, like the prepackaged ones, but I can't just buy a package. I will once in a great while, but like having 6 of them, that's just too much. But I will buy a single, like I did today from the store, and I'll gladly eat that thing. So, yeah. So I've been talking a long time. I hope it's not too long, but I enjoy it. So I wanted to share a story, right? It's an art story. And so when I was when I first graduated from college, right? I I rolled with a bunch of artists. Like my sister had friends that she went to university with, and I'm 5 years younger than her. She was born in 75. I was born in 80. And so with my homies, like she went to college with a few friends of her closest friends actually, and those friends were friends with other people who were like mainly artists, and then they all lived in this artist complex. It was like a apartment complex, but it had like a glass blowing studio in it. I think a pottery and ceramic studio, had people's had like a graphic design studio and multiple studios, you know, like on the premises there was the glass blowers complex and the, you know, ceramic area and stuff. But then you had people's galleries towards the front of the building where like art happenings would happen, you know, like shows and events and all that kind of stuff. And then you had just like people who were renting apartments there, and they were all like lofts. It was like a factory that was remodeled. This was like back in the day when that kind of thing was really popular in the city. Like lofts became like a huge boom around that time, which was like the early 2000s. Like, so you saw all kinds of factories getting renovated, and the big selling point were those huge high 20-foot ceilings that had pipes in them and stuff. And so this place was similar to that, you know. And so when I would come in town from college, because I went to a college that was about 4 hours away, and she went to college in the city, I would come in town and hang with the homies. You know, I would hang out with her, and we would be in that complex, and then her friends would be there. And, you know, I just knew everybody. So when I graduated, me and a few people, we got along, mainly because we're all artists, and not people who just sketch around like, you know, like, oh, I like to draw on Post-its and stuff. Like, I was wanting to be a professional artist, and I was struggling. Like, you know, they did a lot of prints that sold in the mall and online, and people all over the city and the United States, especially in the black community, had their prints. They're really popular, and they went into the black sororities and black fraternities. So that was their market, you know. And then there was a couple other artists that did other things. And then, you know, there was another girl that painted abstract stuff for a lot of restaurants in the city. And so I come on the scene, you know, and I'm just kind of like trying to make dough. And so I just want to show and paint portraits and stuff. So, you know, we would do a lot of drinking, man. Like, we would be at this Mexican cantina, and, you know, the place is shut down now because there was some sort of outbreak. So, I mean, no, I'm laughing, like, just because of the fun times that we had in this place. I mean, I'm talking about we would be eating fucking quesadillas and stuff and drinking these frozen margaritas that we would get Texas style that would be strong as shit, and we would be in there like 3-4 times a week, you know. And it would just be all artists, you know, and almost all artists. It was like the core artists, and then the guys would bring girls that they were dating and their friends, and, you know, their guy friends, and, you know, all this kind of stuff. So it was real cool. And we would talk about just art shit, like what people were painting and what was happening in the art community in the city in general, who was getting big commissions. And most of these people I didn't know. Like, these other people were like older than me by about 8 years, 7 years. So, and they were professional for longer than me, actually maybe between 8 and 10 years older than me on average. So you know, so, but we would just have like laughs, man, and just talk about what we were working on. And so, but what's funny was that a couple of the people were known for biting people's styles. You know what I'm saying? Like taking art and pretty much regurgitating it into their own. You'd see something come on the market, or you see someone working on something, and then all of a sudden this other person would be putting out a print or an original that was just like this other piece. And it just happened so frequently. And at the time I didn't notice it at all, but I was told about these things happening. And at the time I really didn't care. I wasn't really concerned, and it wasn't really affecting me. I just saw it as cheesy. And the big part of this is that these people really couldn't draw. You know what I'm saying? They had a big following, and they would have pretty girls wearing their t-shirts and original art t-shirts, and pretty girls, you know, whatever, holding their paintings and shit. And you know, and I would just be like, okay, but they couldn't draw worth a damn. You know what I'm saying? They would copy the art of people who were selling art in tens and twenties and hundreds and thousands of dollars that, you know, not anyone I knew at the time, but people that would be in the media. You would see them like make an original painting that looked just like some shit that just sold. But they can't draw. And that leads me to two things. I'm not friends with these people anymore. The majority of them. Like, as far as like the core group and stuff, like we don't not get along. We don't really keep in touch. I keep in touch with like one friend of mine every so often now. And, you know, we just had to have this discussion the other day. Like, this person, he showed me an image that he was working on, and this was following, you know, a conversation that we had on, you know, his birthday. So, he was telling me about how he was working on something, and it was cool, and I had to put in there like, oh, I might be working on this too. And it wasn't for me, like, sharing the info, like, there's only one person that I would really want to share my closest information with, you know. So at the time I wasn't like, oh, well, let me share with you what's happening here. Even though it happened and I enjoyed speaking about it. Well, I don't know if I really enjoyed speaking about it. I didn't mind sharing because the person's not a bad person. But my point with bringing up what I was potentially going to be working on soon and showing a Instagram image that I had already posted was basically to be kind, in kind terms, to put out like the flag, like, I've been working on this. And the two subjects were similar. Things that have wings. We'll just leave it at that. And so I just wanted to put that out there because, you know, we ran with a circle of people that were acquaintances, friends, and business associates that were really competitive and kind of cutthroat a little bit, you know. And then my other part is that inspiration is another thing. You know, one of the reasons that I stopped hanging around, or not even hanging around, just like, you know, being a part of their Instagram following and not blocking them from mine, was that I would put up posts of stuff that I was working on, and then I would see on their page something that looked way similar. And that's when I started like that's when I started having a problem, you know. It was like 10 years past when we all used to hang together. I hadn't seen these people in years, but we were still cool on Instagram, right? Like, I haven't seen anybody in years, you know, but we were never uncool with each other. But when I started seeing my work popping up in some sort of reference, especially when I really wasn't speaking to the people who were doing it, I had a problem. And that's when I had to pull the plug, like, let me just exit this situation because I have to admit this is pissing me off a little bit. And the biggest offense is that you can't fucking draw. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just can't. You have a style that you copied from other people that have contributed to your career, that has contributed to your career. You've made dough off of a style that's fundamentally not yours. And now you're copying my work, and I just couldn't do it. And the difference is that I hope that I've had inspiration to a particular person. And for example's sake, I would love to see anything that I do pop up in the work. Anything I say, anything I do, any of my work, anything that I say that I think I want to do in the future. Take my style, bite my style, use any inspiration. Like, that is a compliment. And a big part of it is that when you're just an established master, when you are that awesome and that talented and that good, you can do whatever the fuck that you want. Like, like you are. There is no copying in you. There is no anything. You're unique and one of a kind and super technically skilled, super artistically skilled in beauty and color. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's a big difference between that and somebody who just is copy and paste. And I don't know, like I don't really have a problem with the copy and paste style, but I've been seeing it in a lot of different categories of art lately. And to kind of veer away from that side of things, I've seen it in the digital community. Like, I've been getting more into digital art for the past 6 months or so, and I've really been enjoying it. But I've teetered on the line of watching tutorials of how people, and I've brought this up before, you see how I look kind of superimposed? Isn't that kind of cool? Check it out though. That's what's really going on in my house now. Should I just be like this for a few minutes? I'll stay like this before I go back to being superimposed again. It's because there's light coming here, and then I have my light over there. So, lamp, daylight. So, which is kind of funny because, I wind up looking like superimposed, like people on TV where they have like lighting for like news reports and they're on location and they have all these like super bright lights and stuff for the recording, and then behind them it's a completely different light source. So I was kind of like this look. So I like the dark look too. So what was I gonna say? Oh, like the digital work. Yeah, like, because I'm not getting like the result that I want digitally, but I'm not trying to regurgitate, it's like you see the same stuff, like at least on Instagram. Instagram is real cool, but it's turned into a madman. It's gone fucking apeshit because everything looks the same. You see the same fucking art, not art fucking art, but you like see the making love art, and it's the same feel over and over. You see the same line art. You see the same sexy kind of, I don't know, cartoon girl art. You know what I'm saying? Like all the girls that have the big tits and little waists and the waist bending over and, and all this kind of shit. I guess it's taken from like a Japanese style, but now it's become like this style of other countries. And like that style for Japan and me, like it's been kind of bittersweet because that's one of those things that I ignored when I was growing up. But I kind of like it too. I like the sexuality of things. I've always liked the sexuality of almost everything. But now it's become an epidemic to a point where my eyes are hurting, because now you see so many people copying that style, like, and it's not Japanese style anymore. It's like here in the United States, you see it like a lot. And you see these girls that are constantly, you see a lot of female artists doing it. They wear like a whole bunch of, they're basically copying manga and anime, like, and that's cool and everything, because sometimes it can be really pretty. And I know designing clothing that way is hard, and even though I'm not really into like the hyper big chests anymore, or not saying that I ever really was, but like, I'm not offended by it. I think it looks nice and it looks sexy, and I like sexy things like that, to a degree, but now it's like, I think I'm just getting tired of it, because now it's like people are getting surgery to look like that to a huge degree. And none of this really would be of any consideration, but I'm seeing it so much, it's getting old, like, the thing is about anime and manga is that it just tends to be really well drawn, and there tends to be a balance with environments, and I've seen that kind of look here. But now on Instagram you see like the close-up of the girl, and she has huge eyes, and she's like in a little mouth, and they all draw the mouth the same way. It's all like the puckery mouth that's super shiny. You can find a tutorial for it on YouTube on any day of the week, on any channel, how to draw a mouth, how to draw a nose, how to draw eyes, how to draw a braid. It's like people are looking at these same tutorials, picking up on some techniques, and all of a sudden you see the same face over and over with very little variation. Oh, some of them may just have pink hair, some of them may have more blush on, some of them, and it's just like, okay, that's cool, but you just start seeing when people are taking the same tutorials. And that's why, even though my digital art isn't going the direction that I would prefer it to, especially with human faces, I'm not getting that softness that I want to see. I don't have the control over, like, all the lines that, you know what I'm saying, like the three-dimensional aspect of a face. I'm not really getting that, but I'm cool because I'm not looking at some tutorial and then picking up on some techniques that look like everybody else's, like, I could make it my own and all that kind of stuff, but I'm not interested in that. I've watched tutorials about stuff, like I grew up watching like Bob Ross and Julia Child, I learned a lot of cooking techniques from her and other people, and I've had great teachers in art, so that's not really my point. I think it's just my version of not wanting to participate with this corner of society. I don't want anything to do with the lip injection, implant, lipo, ass injection community. I don't feel like being part of the lace front wig community. I don't feel like looking at the lip injection face filler community, but I will say I love a good surgery video. I do love watching the videos for the medical procedures. As far as the people who are like beauty gurus and stuff, and people talking about how beautiful people are and this and that, with a face full of filler, that's cool. I can see the beauty in these things, but I just don't feel like participating. But I don't feel like taking any lessons from somebody who's anywhere close to any of that. So I think I'm kind of going all over the place a little bit, but I also think that I'm making a little bit of sense. I could look up different techniques, I guess, for digital work, which is something that I might do. I think it's just the amount of artists that I see that are in that direction are oversaturating the market. I think that's what the issue is. It's not even like I don't want to take a tutorial or watch anybody, do these things. I think it's just when I go on YouTube, I'm seeing the same kind of artists as I am on Instagram. And I try to avoid these people. I've written YouTube about like, how do I avoid this channel? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do I avoid these people from popping up? And there's not a way. Like, it's almost bizarre. It's like you can't avoid it. It's like on Instagram, you can be sitting there all day, like, see less of this, or see less like images like this. And they just flood in. Before you know it, there's another girl wearing some bikini shoved so far up her ass. And it's just like, oh, okay, here you are again. It's not you, but there's 100 million others just like you on this thing. So it's becoming like that. It's like you see it everywhere. Like even when I watch the news, I'm watching the news about a family doing whatever the fuck they're doing, and I never wanted to see anything from this family years ago, and I can't, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to watch what's happening with this president and this leader and what's happening with this outbreak of whatever's affecting romaine lettuce, and I'm seeing what's going on with this group of people that are blowing my mind that they've ever gotten any kind of fame or credentials. And I'm like, dude, how do I avoid this? And I'm like, what do I do? Just go into hibernation? Like, do I just boom, I'm back? But it's like, do I go into hibernation? Do I just like turn off everything? I enjoy YouTube. I want to watch these two little boys in Cambodia cooking shit over a fire. They're cooking brains, they're cooking intestine, they're cooking fish whole. They're like 10 and they're chopping shit up and making shit that looks really interesting. It's like I'm looking at my screen now. It's like, okay, I want to watch the Republican leaders holding a news briefing. I want to watch that. I want to watch, sumo. I want to watch makeup tutorials by people who aren't assholes. You know what I'm saying? I want to watch silly TV, like, people trying to reproduce really sophisticated, cooking techniques. I want to watch that. But then in the process of this, I'm like, stupid as hell. How'd you make any money? This is why people are making money nowadays. And it's just like, okay. So I'm still going through trying not to be an old fogey, like, I don't know what they're doing this generation, and it never used to be like this. Like, I'm trying to get used to it. I'm trying to learn how to navigate my way, and ultimately I am trying not to have any thoughts about it, because sometimes I form all these opinions, and I have learned, I know that forming these opinions is kind of like participating with the nonsense, just in a different way. So and the bad energy that it may bring or make the bad feels, may not be the coolest thing for me to experience. So, but all in all, I like these services. I mean, you gotta admit, they're free for the most part. And besides the ultra mind fuck of over advertising stupidity, but it is what it is, because what it is free and plentiful, and convenient, because YouTube is easy. I can have it on any platform. It's easily accessible. I can watch pretty much what I want to watch. Instagram, I can see really cute baby cubs being carried around by their necks, which is like one of my absolute favorite thing. Like, I think that there's very few things in the world that are as cute as a baby lion cub because they look so confused when they're being carried around by somebody. And then the little one that's like screaming and stuff by this huge lion, like a male lion. It's like, there's very little that's as cute as that. I get a lot of that in my feed, you know. I see pretty dresses of Indian brides and all the details, you know. I get a whole lot of everything, you know, so I'm not trying to bitch out too much. I just like to see less of the stamp and repeat, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'd like 20 cc's, I'd like double D's, I'd like 48 inches versus 28 inches. And I want a lace front with another 28 inches. Like 28 inches is like the name of the game. 28-inch waist, 48-inch ass, 40-inch tits, and you know, some weave that's taken from somebody overseas and dyed blonde, and that's that. And you know, that's cool and everything. And I don't really think I would have a problem with any of it. But I think what has, and I'll close on this, what comes along with that has been this persona. And I'm tired of seeing trans people. I'm tired of, you know, trans people wanting, oh, I'm a woman, I'm this, I don't give a fuck. But what I'm tired of is trans people who are like, oh, I'm a woman, but you're just acting the way that you think a woman should act. They all, you know, a lot of these people act the same. You know, you see a lot of drag queens, a lot of trans women, a lot of girls that get this package. You know what I'm saying? Like, you look at them before, pretty normal and, you know, looking. But then they start putting on the Instagram makeup, these huge mink lashes, so much makeup, it is unreal. Put a circle light on that bitch with a lace front. Put some tits in that chest, take out some fat and put it in your ass, get your nails done about this long and about pointy as shit. And I'm pointing on things, I know my hair is long, I know my nails are pointy, but look, I got a broken one, man. I've been growing these bitches out for weeks. So, you know what I'm saying? And I don't have all that other shit going on. But what happens is that people stop keeping it real. They start using all this slang. You know what I'm saying? I'm tired of hearing about people being shook. I'm tired about hearing the squad. I'm tired of hearing people speak like they're on the fucking block where cats are shooting each other up, but they've never been down the street from the fucking mall. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are using this slang out of context, and it's become a real, like, epidemic of stupid sounding people, which has become really funny. Because it's always been happening here in the States. You know what I'm saying? Cats stealing slang from one community to the other. But now you see it everywhere. And now it's becoming funny. Now it's kind of like, well, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's just watch that. But I'm tired of hearing, you know, all this. People will put slang, you know what I'm saying? And they'll be like doing this shit. Oh, girl, and this. And you know what I'm saying? And you see all this, like, you know what I'm saying? Like street shit. Like, and you know, and all this shit that has been like old slang for like so many years. You see some girl that's never hung around any black person in their life doing shit like, oh girl, honey, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, the fuck? And that's cool because that has always happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, you've seen cats that have been copying cultures here in the States forever, and it sounds bizarre because what happens is that there's one community of people that tend to use this shit, like, for sure. Like, you know what I'm saying? Not saying that it's any better, because when you start doing this to me, that to me is some fighting shit. But then you see these girls on Instagram living over in fucking 90210 or some shit, or fucking Maine, or wherever the fuck, and you see these girls doing this shit, and it's just like, dude, you don't look hood at all, and you're using this shit in a way that doesn't make sense. But what's happening now is that you're seeing it all over YouTube. Every video you see guys speaking this way, straight guys, gay guys, trans women, and now what? Wait, hold on. There's a name for women who are born biologically women. Don't call me no fucking cis woman. Cis. Get the fuck out of here, trans people. Don't call me no cis person. I mean, you can, but I'm gonna still call you a dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't come at me with some cis shit, and don't come to me like, oh, I'm a woman and you're just acting the way that you think that women should act. And yeah, I'm not being PC, but I've been oversaturated with so much shit. Ladyboys, trans people, drag queens, dudes wearing makeup with a beard. I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? And it's just become an epidemic of like, look at me. And it's like, yeah, fine. I wouldn't care that you're trans. But what's funny is that I've been watching these videos about trans people having problems. But with these videos, like one that I watched just a few minutes before making this video, is he didn't know I was trans. Then they start wondering why things didn't work out so well. You know what I'm saying? And then she had the nerve to insult the guy, like, oh, you felt like your manhood was being degraded. Maybe he doesn't want to date a woman that has a dick. Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever thought that a straight man that you met on Tinder and you presented yourself as a straight woman with no mentioning on your profile? I've never seen Tinder, but I'm assuming there's a profile. I'm assuming that there's a place where you can put in information. And I'm assuming that a few texts or DMs or whatever the fuck that they did back and forth, there was a little time to slip in, hey, I got a dick. You know what I'm saying? I'm a woman, but I do have a penis. See, on the outside of the trans community, penis is a male part. So no matter how you feel in your heart, there's some men that don't want to be bothered touching a hard dick when you guys have sex. Sorry. Not being too PC, but how you feel in your heart means very little to a man who will punch your fucking lights out when you didn't tell him that you had a dick. That is funny to me. This person was confused. She kissed this dude. Met this dude off of Tinder. She's out with her homegirls. They go to some part of the VIP area. They're kissing. And then she wants to tell him about how she's trans. And then she wants to start insulting this guy for not being open-minded. Get the fuck out of here. You better get the fuck out of here. You want some respect. Not saying all trans people are like this, but I don't give a fuck how you feel in your heart. I don't care what surgery you got. I don't care what hormones you took. You know what I'm saying? Like, the truth is the truth. It's not about how you feel. I can feel like I'm a rabbit. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, on the inside I'm a rabbit, you know, or whatever the fuck, I'm a tree, you know. But when you look at me, you don't see a rabbit. But if I'm forcing you, you better fucking treat me like a rabbit. You better, you know, do whatever the fuck people do to rabbits. You better pat my head and bring me carrots. And, you know, when I leave little pellets around on the ground, you better be accepting of when I take shits on the ground, because that's what rabbits do. No, you're going to see a grown-ass woman taking a shit in the middle of the floor, acting crazy. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter how I feel on the inside. Like, that's a little bit extreme, because I respect some cats that might feel displaced or whatever. But when you start bringing other people into it, you know what I'm saying? You might run into some problems. You know what I'm saying? Like, I watched something else about trans prostitutes in France, and they're fighting for their rights. But the thing is, none of these people are French. They held up signs about where they're from, and they were all from overseas. Ecuador, Peru, you know, basically all South American countries. And I'm not saying that, you know, there's anything wrong with that, but you're not from this place. and you're selling yourself off as being a woman, and you're not telling men that you have a dick. That's not what someone signed up for. Like, I watched this other show. Okay, so I'm back. The other video, it started going to that place where I was going to go off, and I kind of did, but my camera stopped me. I had to stop. But, the persona that I'm talking about is, at least with the aesthetic package that sometimes women go for. And I speak about women because it's easier to get this package. Like, for men, you can't go out and get a wig and a bunch of whatever and makeup and put things into your body that almost immediately change everything about the way that you look. Like, men have to do things kind of like a different way. And so with women, I find that some of them get this package of long nails, fillers, and injections in their face. And then with their body, whatever, surgery and a lace front wig of 60 inches, and I think it'd be cool. I think it just sometimes what happens is that package makes people act a way in some scenarios that isn't one that I get along with very well. And that's the persona I left off with in the other video. But I mean, I guess it all just comes down to people wanting to feel good about themselves and be confident, and and I just see things sometimes, and like, if I see somebody who seems to have success on Instagram or YouTube or something, it'll make me like question society, because sometimes these people are like, sometimes it can turn people mean and super confident, but in a way that's not like, you exude confidence. It's like an arrogance almost. And I think I'm cool with that, because it really doesn't have anything to do with me, and it's not really any of my business. I think it's because in American society, it's glamorized and put on a pedestal and appreciated. And I think that's when I start not wanting to participate in my own country's society. And I'd rather be proud of my country and, want to see what people are doing in the world in general. But I think this part of where at least American culture is right now, I don't like that little, I prefer not to participate with that little corner of it. I watch certain TV shows. Actually, I've seen a lot of TV shows, and you have people that look the same who are also acting the same. And you see it kind of bleeding into other communities. Like, I was watching this one video of this trans girl, and besides kind of catfishing this guy, because on her profile, I don't know what a Tinder profile looks like. I've never been on Tinder. I don't know. I've never used it. I've never made a profile or an account. I've never seen the way it looks, but I'm assuming that there's a place that you put, details about yourself. And so she and I'm sorry for repeating myself, but she met this guy in the club, and he kisses her, and then she tells him later that she was born a guy. But during the video, you see this person acting the same as like other girls that just come off as being bitchy and mean and stuck up. And I'm like, okay, is that because you do feel really good about yourself, or that you don't feel so good about yourself? Because what I also see is in the drag community, the trans community, which I'm getting like oversaturated with seeing, or by seeing, whatever the way that I should be saying that, it's just become like too much, like too much of a big deal. And I don't see it as a big deal, but it's just everywhere. What I'm seeing are these people on YouTube that all have this certain way of acting, and it's this persona of, I'm the prettiest girl ever, you can't fuck with me, I have all this hood attitude, but I've never been to any hood. I don't even have friends that are hood. But I do all this hood shit in the camera. I use all this slang that sounds ridiculous because it's just improperly applied. And I have this package going on, and I'm so fine, but none of this really belongs to me, and I'm gonna be treating everybody like an asshole. And like I said before, YouTube can be a beautiful thing, Instagram and everything can be a beautiful thing. There's a lot of good content, but what's happening is that these things are spilling out to the streets. I've had bus drivers with this package be rude to me. I've had cashiers with this package. People in stores working as associates kind of have this attitude, but have this package going on with an incredible amount of makeup, an incredible amount of hair everywhere, and walking around and I'm like, that's cool and everything, but I don't feel like that's you on the inside. But what you're choosing to be is just mean. So are you mean on the inside too? But I just don't feel like dealing with these people, and it's becoming harder to avoid because it's like an epidemic. So I guess this is just where people are with their vouch for confidence. I don't know, but it's so. But anyway, no biggie. But on that, I think that's gonna be the little second part of my rant. As non-productive as all of this may seem, it does serve a purpose with me, because I hear myself speak and I'm like, okay, I made some progress, and hopefully it's entertaining. That's what I'm also hoping. And basically, I like to have a point. So sometimes I don't have a point, but sometimes I enjoy not having a point, and that's just part of who I am sometimes, which isn't so bad, right? So, but I'm gonna go, and I'll see you soon. Bye.